People say they want to be successful, but do you know what success feels like? Imagine yourself waking up living that dream life. Do you have a clear picture in your head of what success means to you? Get your notebooks. This is going to be a good one. Now, when you ask somebody what does success mean to them, they'll typically say things like a dollar amount, becoming a millionaire, a big house, a fancy car, getting a degree, graduating college. And these are all great things. But Earl Nightingale put it this way. For those who aren't aware, Earl Nightingale, he was a radio host back in I believe it was the 60s. And he said this: success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. What did that mean in basic English? It means that success isn't about getting there. Success is about the process of getting there. So it's not about being there, as in getting the degree, as in having the car, as in having the money. It's that success is about progressively working your way towards it. So, by that definition, if you know what you want, how to get it, and you are actively taking steps in that direction, you're a success. Your bank account might not be where you would like it to be. Your car might not be where you'd like it to be. However, you as a person are a success because you know what you want and you know where you're going. And if you keep going in the right direction, you will eventually get there. A few days ago, I was thinking about how my YouTube channel, personally, I feel like I should be way further ahead. Like the quality of my content is incredible. I should have a lot more likes and views and comments on my videos. But as you guys can see, currently that is not the case. Now, there could be a lot of reasons behind that. But I remembered that quote and I said, no, Lawrence, just because subscriber count isn't where you would like it to be does not mean anything about me as a person. I am taking the steps necessary to get the result I desire, and by that definition, I am in fact a success. The issue, though, is that often the world's perspective and the world standard of success is having the thing, but success is the process of getting it. And obviously, that doesn't mean that you claim to be something you're not. Okay, if you're not a doctor, do not claim that you're a doctor. I hope everyone understood that. But if you know where you're going and how to get there, and you are actively taking steps, you're a success. Most people don't have a clearly defined goal. He also made this record called The Strangest Secret, and it can be summarized as this: knowing what you want and doing what needs to be done. The issue of most people, you ask them, well, what do you want? They can tell you vague things like I want to have a lot of money. I want to be a millionaire. A millionaire is anything from 1 to 999 million. That's a very vague statement. I want a big house. A big house in America is a lot different than a big house in South Africa. Now, when someone is able to be clear on what they want, great. Now, where it gets even better, and what I alluded to earlier, is the feeling. How does success feel like for you? And you have to define what success is for you because to most people, becoming the world's best youth empowerment speaker isn't their idea of success. To them, that's not success. Their idea of success might be becoming a barber, or becoming a lawyer, or a doctor, or an engineer, or a nurse, or running a nail salon, or becoming a chef. That's their idea of success. So, the first thing I want you to do is get out a piece of pen and paper and write out what is my idea of success. If I could have any life, what would it be? And be specific, be clear. Now ask yourself, how would I feel if I had that? Because feelings create thoughts, which create actions. Now, you can also view it as your thoughts creating feelings, those feelings creating actions. But no matter how you organize it, when you feel something, you want to think about something and you want to do something. In a positive way, when you feel in love with someone, you want to buy them flowers, take them on dinner dates, spend time with them, call them. The feeling created a thought of, I really like this person, and it leads you to taking actions. Now, when it comes to success and creating your idea of what that is, you have to ask yourself, well, how would I feel if I had that dream life? So, if your idea of success is becoming a barber, how would I feel when men come in and their hair is all messy and then I give them a haircut and they looking in the mirror and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I just love it." They're giving me tips. He goes out and that haircut is so good that he meets the woman of his dreams and he gets married and he has kids all because the haircut I gave him was that good. How would you feel? I would feel pretty darn good. If I was a barber and I just did that, I would feel so incredible. Let's say your idea of success is becoming a doctor. Instead of thinking about, I just really want to be a doctor, I really want to be a doctor, you can think about, how would it feel when you're walking down the graduation, like, in your cap and gown, and your mom and your dad and aunts and uncles and whoever is there, and they're like, "Oh, baby!" That's how my mom was at my high school graduation. She was clapping. It was great. I really appreciated that. How would you feel if your family, they're cheering for you, you got your cap and gown on? Um, or you could think about, how would you feel when somebody comes to the ER, they're on the gurney, they're in critical condition, and then you do a surgery and it saved their life, and eventually they're able to get up and hug their kids, and the little daughter runs over and is like, "Baby, I'm so glad that you're alive," and the wife is thanking you and she's crying because you just saved her husband's life. You feel pretty darn good. You would feel proud of yourself, you would feel achieved, you would feel accomplished, you'd feel a lot of good emotions. So when you know what your idea of success is, you want to find ways of creating that feeling, because having $1 million, I mean, that's pretty cool. It's going to be pretty nice to see that in your bank account. But what you really want is the feeling of it. You want to have the feeling of, I can get whatever I want. You want the feeling of not worrying about bills, the feeling of being able to walk into anywhere and not have to look at the price tag, the feeling of being able to buy your mom and family a house. The feeling is what you really want. And when you know what your idea of success is and you clearly imagine it, like, in my head, I have an imaginary world where I am flying across the country. I'm on these stages. And I'm talking about before I started actually doing it. Before you guys saw me with the office and the suits and the podcast bookings, in my head, I had it. In my head, oh, I was so delusional. I was on stages in front of 50,000 people in my head. I was talking to Oprah Winfrey in my head. I was shaking hands. And what this is called is visualization. That's a term for this that you can, find content about this. It's about imagining it in crystal clear detail. Now, obviously, you don't need every single second, start to finish, played out, but you want to have like a scene. So think about walking down the aisle with your graduation cap on, and you have a 4.0 GPA on your report card. That's like a scene. You can make that a picture in your head and play it over and over and start to feel it. Now, the problem is, a lot of people, they'll do this and they'll see themselves from like third person, like they are watching themselves. But no, you want to put yourself in the situation. Like, you want to look at it through your own eyes. It's kind of like wearing a VR headset. Now, what if, Lawrence, I haven't done that before and it's hard for me to, picture myself inside of a Lamborghini. I've never been in one. It's hard for me to imagine it. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to calm your body down, take some deep breaths, And then close your eyes. Imagine your bedroom. You know what your bedroom looks like. Imagine seeing your bedroom in your head, and you're like, okay, I can see my bedroom in my head. Now, you want to walk from your bedroom to your bathroom because you've done that so many times. You know exactly how it looks. And then, now that you're able to like get yourself in a mental scene and you're seeing it in first person, you want to switch that from your house into this imaginary scene. So you could look up hospitals if you want to be a doctor and just imagine yourself doing surgery. If you want a Lamborghini, you can imagine yourself looking at the inside of one. If you want to achieve something specific, imagine yourself doing something specific related to that. One of the things I did was I looked up photos of high school auditoriums and I would mentally imagine myself inside of them, like on the stages, and I would just imagine myself there. Other things you can do is finding actual physical things to do. So there's this apartment that I want, and I've toured it a few times because it's super close to my office. And what I do is I go in there and I just like, observe it. Like when I walk past it, I look from the outside and I just observe it. And I will walk past the entrance door, but obviously not go inside of it. But in my head, I will imagine myself going inside the building, walking up the steps, going to my unit, looking out, seeing the sunrise, laying on the bed. And you create this picture in your head that is so vivid that you can feel it. Like you can feel the emotions. Music is another great way too. So if there's a song that reminds you of your goal, such as Glorious by, I'm trying to remember his name. The guy who made Thrift Shop. Yeah, the guy who made Thrift Shop. His name's gonna come to me eventually, but you can look at the song Glorious and you can find that it's like a very exciting, warm song about achieving your goals. Um, I heard you die twice. The first time is when they bury you in the grave. The second time is the last time that somebody remembers your name. So when I leave on this earth, I hope I take more than I gave. Did I look out for the people or did I do it all for fame? That's one of the lyrics of it. Other songs, like if you want to start going to the gym, you can listen to music about that. And you create these feelings inside your body and you create these like mental images and you want to feel successful. You want to feel like you're who you want to be before the material world catches up. Because one of the things that I realized through reading the Bible is that one of the first things is God said, let there be light, and then there was light. So before there was light, there was just void, and then it was created. And as people, we're made in God's image, however you want to take that. And I don't just mean, in the Christian sense of God, I mean just whatever God you believe in. It's pretty consistent over all religions. And if we're made in the image of an all powerful creator, that means that we too have a level of creative powers. So we can create a life that we enjoy. But it first starts with imagination. It first starts with knowing how it feels because whatsoever ye ask for in prayer, pray. It I just forgot the verse off the top of my head, but it goes something along the lines of whatsoever ye ask for in prayer, believe ye have it and ye shall receive it. I actually did an entire YouTube video on that one specific Bible verse. I think it's like it might be in Mark, but what I'm really getting at here is that instead of just thinking about having something, you want to feel it. Because, yes, it would be really cool to have a medical degree. It would be really cool to have a 4.0 GPA. It would be really cool to get accepted to your dream college. It would be really cool to be in super good shape. It would be really cool to have. But you don't want to have it, you want to feel it. And I know that sounds strange. Like, I know it sounds weird because, of course, I want to have the thing I want to have. But if if you had it, but you didn't feel the emotions of it, it wouldn't matter to you. It only matters because you feel like it does. And because you feel like it does, you add emotional meaning to it. And your emotions are just energy in motion. So, obviously, right now, you cannot walk into a Lamborghini dealership and buy one of them. Obviously, right now, you might not have the money to go get your dream apartment. Obviously, right now, you don't have a medical degree or a 4.0 GPA or whatever. But in your head, you can imagine it. You can think to yourself, how would I feel? I would feel proud of myself. I would feel intelligent. I would feel confident. I would feel good. Okay, so if I felt that, what did that person do? This is where you take it a level beyond just the knowing of what you want and beyond the plan of how to get it and beyond the feeling and beyond imagining it. Now you are acting as if. So, if I was confident, how would I act? I would act confident. What does the confident version of Lawrence do? He is consistently posting videos because he's not afraid of people's opinion about him. He is talking to random people, saying like good morning, have a good day, I like your outfit because he's confident talking to people. He is social. So these are the things that the confident version of Lawrence does. Okay. Now, what else about Lawrence? If he's the world's number one youth empowerment speaker, what did that person do? Because obviously he feels confident. Obviously he feels proud of himself. Obviously he feels accomplished. Obviously he feels like he is credible and valid. So if that's how he feels, what does he do? Okay, well, obviously, if he's speaking at schools, he emails principals. That's how you get into the schools. You have to email them and you set up a meeting and you move on from there. Okay, so that's an action that I can take from the identity of that version of me. So if success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal, and by taking actions that are specifically focused towards that worthy ideal, if that makes you a success and you know what it is that you want, and you create the feelings within yourself of that, and you imagine it, and you begin to create a new identity at this point, now you're not just thinking about a thing. Now you're not just working towards a thing. Now you are becoming the thing. So, in an easy example, because I know that's a very complex thought, an easy example of this. Let's say you have somebody who is 300 pounds and they want to be 200. They can work out all they want. They can go to the gym all they want. They can do everything right. But if their identity is 300 pounds, they will start going to fast food restaurants after the gym. They'll start eating cakes after the gym. They'll start doing things based on their identity. And it's not good or bad, it's just that's how they identify, that's how they see themselves. The 200-pound version of them has different beliefs, different identity, different feelings, different emotions, different ways of being. And that's not good or bad. It's just that's their identity. So this is why you can have some people who they're doing everything, but they're not being the thing because there's a disconnect between who they are right now and who they're trying to become. And when you make this shift, the old identity, which is the current you, is going to do everything in its power to keep you from making that change because this current version of you has a lot of beliefs, a lot of behaviors, a lot of thoughts that have been reinforced over years and years. So to change that is really uncomfortable. And your brain naturally does not like when things change. Change is unpredictable. Change is inconsistent. Your brain does not like that. However, when you notice these emotions coming up, because you will notice a lot of emotions come up like, man, I'm not good enough for that. They're not going to like me. Why would I try to get that job? Why would I try to do this? She's out of my league. He's out of my league. These are the old identities created. This is your old identity creating these emotions, these thoughts, and these like bad thoughts to keep you from changing to the new identity. And I say bad in quotations because it's not inherently bad. It's more like it's just how you currently are. So it's not bad. It's more of this is your comfort level. Yeah, that's the best way to put it. It's your comfort zone. And when you step outside your comfort zone, that is scary because it's different. But the only way to go from here to here, so going from who you have always been to who you're trying to become. So, who you're trying to become, that's the successful you, the in shape you, the confident you, the like whatever your goal is, like whatever your dream life is. You have who you are now and your dream version. To go from who you are now to your dream version, you have to notice when these fears come up, when these doubts, when these insecurities, when these I'm not good enough, when these that person's too good for me. When all that comes up, you have to push beyond it just a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And eventually you kind of starve out the old version of you and you make room for the new version of you. In the Bible, it says you cannot put new wine into old wineskin. So the old version of you must be gone in order for the new you to come in. And the way you do that is every time you notice those doubts and those fears and those worries that I'm not good enough, say to yourself, the version of me that has what I want does not believe that. The version of me that is the world's number one youth empowerment speaker who traveled the country, motivates thousands of people, and is changing lives, that version of me is not afraid of when somebody leaves a mean comment. So whenever someone does, the old version of me is like, man, I don't like when they do that. But the new version of me, who is who I am being and who I am becoming, that version, he don't really care. He's like, I mean, people are going to say what they're going to say. So, what can you really like? How can we apply this? How can we apply everything I've just said right there? You want to know clearly what you want. Like, I want you to clearly know what you want. If you say, I want to start a business, okay, great. What kind? What are you going to do? What are you going to sell? Who are you going to help? How are you going to do it? For example, I want to start a bakery. I'm just using this as an example. You want to start a bakery. Okay. What are you going to sell? Where is it going to be? Do you have a name of the bakery? Do you have a logo for the bakery? And I'm not saying you need all these details tomorrow, but you want to have clear things on paper. Like you want to have a clear plan. How much is a building going to cost? How much will staff cost? And you want to get details. Or something more realistic, like easy to do, is I want to go from a 3.0 GPA to a 3.5. Okay, great. You have something really specific, but how are you going to do it? Like, what do you need to do? How are you going to do this? I'm going to improve my grades. What class? Math. How? I'm going to get a tutor so that I can improve my test scores. See? Now, how would you feel if you had a 3.5 GPA? Well, I would feel proud of myself. I would feel good. I would feel a lot more, intelligent. Okay, great. Now, imagine yourself already having it. Imagine those feelings. Feel the feelings of the version of you that has what you want. because it's those feelings and those emotions that will put you in motion to getting what you want. You're a car, your emotions are the gasoline, and your imagination is the spark plug. You are a car, your emotions are the gasoline, the fuel, your imagination is the spark. Because in your imagination, you make a picture, you see it, you imagine it. You're like, man, I would love to live in that apartment. I would love to wake up and do that. I would love to have that kind of relationship. I would love that car. Now you take all of the emotions and you bring them up and you just boom. Now you're in motion. You put your foot on the pedal and you are driving towards where you want to be. And it starts inside. We think that when we get the success, we're going to feel good then. But no, you have to feel it in order to get there. Another way you can do it, and this is like the polar side of it, you can also use quote unquote negative feelings to get you there. And by negative, I mean things such as like anger, frustration. Man, I did it. So people who go to the gym, you might see people who go to the gym and they're taking out all their anger and their frustration using the weights. And that allowed them to become really muscular. And their goal is to get really muscular. Now, for them, you could look at them and think that, oh well, Lawrence, if what you're saying is that I have to feel confident, I have to feel strong, I have to feel powerful to become, really muscular. How did this make sense? Because he feels angry, he feels frustrated, he feels like rage. Exactly. It's the emotions because emotions in and of themselves are not good or are not bad. You feel how you feel. You feel how you feel. That's simply it. We label certain feelings as good. Yeah, let me make this like we label certain feelings as good, we label others as bad, but it just is what it is. Now, that anger, that frustration, for one person, that leads them to being like, I'm so powerful, I'm so strong. That's them. The other person could think that, I'm gonna feel so confident when I'm at the beach and my muscles is popping out my shirt. They're using the happiness to get them where they want to be. The other person is using that like anger and frustration to get them where they want to be. And they're both getting to the same destination using a different type of emotion, but the pattern is still consistent. They know clearly what they want, big muscles. They know how to get it, working out. And every time they go to the gym, they're taking another step in that direction. And as you keep going more and more and being more consistent, you get better at this. The more you imagine the scenario, the easier it is to feel the feelings, the easier it is to hear the sounds, see the people, and just be in there. And the clearer you get, the better this becomes. I could talk on and on for hours about this, but an example I'm going to use in my own life is that when I wanted to get this office, I said to myself, before even knowing it existed, I said to myself, okay, well, what do I want in an office? What exactly, like, where do I want it to be? How much do I want it to cost? Like, I got really specific about it. And the thing that I put down off the top of my head were I want it to be in a certain part of my city. I want it to be under $250 a month. I want it to be 24/7 access. And I want it to have water fountains. I know those sound like weird criteria, especially the water fountain, but it's because, I need water. I also wanted it to be near a gym because I like working out. So having an office near a gym, super convenient. And I wanted there to be a lot of food places nearby because I need to eat. I found a building with exactly that, and the price was like 170. Rent is going up. Rent's going up, guys. So I would highly appreciate if y'all start buying my books more often. And I'm really glad. I'm really it feels so good to be alive. I know that just sounded so weird in this context, but what I'm getting at is that it just feels so good to be living a life that is beyond what my younger self could have dreamed. It feels so good to be me. It feels so good to be confident being me. It feels so good to be proud of who I am. And I'm really proud of who I'm becoming. This year has been a lot for me. Um, I took, my first plane flights. I've traveled to hotels by myself. I've done a lot, and I'm proud. But the only way I got here was by believing I could. Feeling the feelings, seeing the vision, and taking the actions when it seemed delusional. Because the stuff I was doing when I was 15, 16, 17, oh my gosh, it was so delusional. Like, it was so delusional. I was just trying anything. I was emailing people left and right. I was saving up for a lot of equipment. I was writing books, man. I was doing a lot. And the reason I did so much in such a short amount of time is because of how passionately I feel about this. Like, I don't think I can really put into words how deeply I feel passion for making these videos, for giving speeches, for seeing students and young people, and just it's weird to say young people because I'm 19, but it's I don't think I can really explain it. It's one of those things like seeing the sparkle in someone's eyes again. And when I'm talking about feeling your way into success, like feeling the emotions of what it would be like if you had your dream life, it's things like that. Because, yeah, the car is cool, the house is cool, the money is cool, all that stuff is cool. But the thing that's really going to drive you is having that, like, deeper why, like that deeper reason. For a lot of people, it's things like being able to buy their mom a house, being able to provide for their family, being able to move and get their own apartment. And when you ask yourself, well, why do you want your own apartment? Freedom, time, my own personal space. Like, there's a lot of reasons that people could have for why they would want to have their own place. Why do you want to get your mom a house? Well, I want to be able to provide for my family. I want them to feel taken care of. I want them to not have to feel stressed out. So it's about you wanting them to feel good. You feel good by making them feel good. Yeah. And the more in tune you can get with these feelings, the better. Because if if you just had the thing, you wouldn't really care. I know it sounds unbelievable, but if I handed you your dream life right now, you'd feel good for a little bit, but because you didn't experience the journey, it doesn't mean as much. Hiking up Mount Everest is so much more enjoyable than catching a helicopter ride up it because the journey, the experience, the thing you had to go through, the things you had to overcome, the time when I had to fall flat on my face and I had people say no to me, the times when I had to embarrass myself and be in park benches screaming, the times when I was in the rain, the time when I was in heat waves, the time when the battery died on me mid recording, so I had to like re-record the whole video 3 times and figure out how to upload it, and it was taking forever. So I had to get different Wi-Fi and all of that. Having to be up late at night doing podcast interviews at like 8 p.m. Having to learn all these techniques and changing the way I breathe so I'm able to articulate my words better. It's the journey that makes it worth it. It's the things you had to put in. Because I'm telling you, as an entrepreneur, it's going to be some hard nights. I'm telling you. Like, it's going to be some nights when you're sleep deprived. It's going to be some nights when you're stressed. It's going to be some nights when you like, man, where's my next dollar going to come from? It's going to be times you're on your hands and knees saying, Lord, I need a miracle. Lord, rent is due. I got $12 and I need a miracle. I need a miracle. And that was never my situation, but I know it's a lot of people's. I did actually get like overdrafted a bunch of times because of my Planet Fitness membership, but I haven't in a pretty long time. In like a year that hasn't happened to me. And that's something that I'm actually like proud to say because a lot of times we only focus on the quote unquote good emotions, the quote unquote good experiences, but everything in life is an experience for you to just learn from. Everything in life presents us with these lessons that we are able to understand, and by unpacking the feelings and emotions within that lesson, you're able to learn from it. You're able to grow because had I not gone through the hard things in my life, I wouldn't be so good at articulating my thoughts. Had I not gone through the time when I was out in the rain and I was getting one view, and had I not gone through all of that, I wouldn't be so good at this. And you get better with time. You get better at the whole visualization, meditation, imagination stuff I talked about earlier. You get better at that with time, but you also get a lot better at just anything with time if you think about it. You get so much better with time. And it's all about believing in yourself because if I never believed in myself and I never just started when I didn't feel ready, if it's because like I said earlier, the version of you that has the life you want is not waiting to be ready. That version of you just is. The version of you that has everything you want is not waiting to feel ready. They just say, I am ready. And in a lot of my previous videos, as well as this one too, I talk a lot about I am. Whatever you put after that, you are. Now you're getting into identity level things. Because when I say I am the world's best youth empowerment speaker, I'm claiming that identity. Regardless of if the external results are there or are not there, internally, I know what I am. And because I know what I am, I conduct myself based on that, not on the external. Because you gotta look delusional before you become successful. You know, if you think about the biggest of the big, Steve Jobs, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, whatever your pain of these people is irrelevant. It's simply you have to admit that these people accomplished some incredible things. Oprah Winfrey is another good example. Accomplished some very incredible things. So, how did they get there? Believing that they could. That was a big part of it. Believing that they could. Believing that I could revolutionize the tech industry. Believing that I could escape poverty for Oprah Winfrey. Believing that I could build a large shipping company for Amazon, which is Jeff Bezos. Believing that I could. And by believing that I could, knowing where I want to go, and pursuing a worthy ideal, they became a success. With that said, go out there. Don't let nobody stop you. Understand that this is your life and you can make it whatever you want to make it. You can be whoever you want to be in this world, regardless of what other people say about you, regardless of whether or not they think you're a success. If you believe you're a success and you're going for your goals and you're working towards it every day, you are a success. And it's only a matter of time before the external catches up to the internal. It's just how it works. And when people call you delusional, and when that old version of you rises up and says, yeah, but what if? yeah, but look at this thing, look at that thing. Just say the version of you that has the life you want exists, but they're not so focused on what you're going through right now because that version of you is down there, like at the finish line. When you're watching a movie and the action hero is like, imagine this, you're watching a movie and someone tells you at the end of this movie, the hero succeeds. The hero wins. He defeats the bad guys. He saved the damsel in distress, and everyone's happy. Now you're watching the movie, and you're like, "Why did you spoil the movie for me?" But as you're watching this movie, you're seeing bombs go off. You're seeing people drop left and right. You're seeing chaos. You're seeing buildings collapse, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, wow! Like this is crazy." But you're not so emotionally wrapped up in it because you know at the end of this, everything works out. So, yeah, right now, it might be a little scary. It might be difficult. It might be challenging. You're like, man, how am I going to overcome this? I don't know how, but I know I will. I know I already did. It's just a matter of time. The it's like you know at the end of this movie, everything works out. But the fun part is the journey to getting there. Because if the movie starts and then the movie ends and it says, "Oh my gosh, things were bad, then it was good, the end." So that sucked, but the movie starts, you're born, you go out into the world, and then all this stuff happens. How? But at the end, you know everything gonna work out. Yeah, it might be a bit scary for the time being, but you know, in the end, it's all good. With that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This was a long one. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe, and let me know your thoughts. Anything you took away from this, anything that really impacted you, and I would love to hear some of your goals. What makes you feel like a success? Have a good day.